Good evening. Welcome to the Disruptive Download. I'm Dr. Danielle R. Green, otherwise known as Dr. G, your conflict connoisseur and your partner in purpose as we walk through boldly in this week together. I'm so glad that you could join me on this evening. I hope you're doing well. And if this is your first time being with us, welcome to the table. And if you've been with me since last week when we kicked everything off, thank you for coming back. You already know what it is, right? You already know what it is. This is our midweek moment. This is where we recalibrate. We look at what's working, we look at what's wobbling, we reflect, and we lead with intention. And so this week's theme is drive change through relationships. I'm going to say that again. Drive change through relationships. Because let's be honest, can I keep it real with you? Can I keep it 100 with you? Okay. If you're not building with people, you're really not building anything that lasts. I believe I said this last week, and I'm always going to continue to reiterate this point. God blesses us through people. It's our connections and our relationships with people, how we get what it is that we need to be blessed, and how we take those blessings and bless others. We don't receive what we receive for ourselves, but we receive what we receive so that we can be a blessing to others. So in all things, we have to be connected with people, because at the end of the day, our purpose here on the planet is to make sure that whatever it is that we're destined and divine to do, that it impacts others. So drive change through relationships. So before we even get into this conversation, because this is going to be quick, as my mama, Mrs. Pamela R. Green, says, and how she lives her life. She's straight, no chaser. She don't put no juice in it. She's just a straight drink. Just give her some ice and she gonna say what she's gonna say. She's gonna do what she's gonna do. So that's how we're gonna be. Straight, no chaser. Not a lot of fluff, just getting down to the nitty gritty. So before we begin, let's be mindful. Let's take a little mindful moment. Let's breathe in. And exhale it out. Now, I'm going to ask you, and you could think it quietly out in yourself. You could say it out loud depending upon where you are, who you're around. Where are you being invited to go deeper, not harder this week? Who are you supposed to connect with that you haven't connected with? Who's the colleague that you're avoiding? Who's the family member who's hard to love? Or even, are you avoiding yourself? Uh-oh. I'm already stepping on toes. We only 5 minutes in. Are you going deeper with you? Because maybe it's you that you need to cultivate the relationship with. Here's the thing. Change doesn't just happen with policies or plans or procedures or protocols. It happens through people. You can have the best scripted plan. You can have every detail laid out. You could have the vision not only plain, but the blueprint is super designed. Every I has been dotted and every T has been crossed. But at the end of the day, no matter how detailed that plan is, no matter how efficient and clear and concise and complete you make the vision, it has to happen through people. As disruptive leaders, we don't bulldoze our way to transformation. We build it through the strength of our relationships. We don't bulldoze our way. This is not like a construction site where I'm just knocking things down to just level it out and build some things up. Transformation comes through people. And as disruptive leaders, we cannot afford to be transactional. Business as usual. I say hello, you say hello, we check the boxes and all those things. Our relationships have to be transformational, not transactional. So we talk about relationship-driven influence in the disruptive leader. So not manipulation, not transactional networking, but intentional, purpose-filled connection. You know your connections have to be purposeful, right? And they have to be connections that matter. I'm a Jesus girl. I'm a Bible girl. Jesus actually modeled this for us. He made sure that he connected with everybody that he needed to connect with to fulfill his purpose. It didn't matter if it was the prostitute. It didn't matter if it was the thief on the cross. Jesus made sure that he had relationship and connection with everybody who he needed to bless. And just like him, our lives are supposed to model that example. We have to connect with those who we are supposed to bless. As a founding principal of a high school that was overaged, undercredited, where more than 85% of my students were already parents, almost every student had experience with the justice system, either as juveniles or as adults. This model that Jesus had sustained me. I realized that in that leadership role of starting that school, I had to be connected to everybody who was aligned to be in that space. So from every student to their families, to the staff members, whoever I had to work with at the district level, I had to make sure that I was connected, that I had those relationships. And so I found out that in order to move the needle, in order to bring hope to a hopeless situation, because for a lot of my students, their situation was already at hopeless. Every student that I received had 6 or less credits. Some were coming from middle school with no high school credits. Some had credits, but not even 10. And those of you who are familiar with Maryland, there's a significant number of credits that you need just to graduate, right? And so connecting, making sure that I had those relationships was key. I didn't have any fancy program. I didn't even have a real polished pitch, right? Some of us, we have coaches and things to give us the pitches that we need. I didn't even have that. All I had was hope. All I had was my voice. All I had was the calling that I knew that I had. All I knew was that I had purpose, and I knew that I was equipped and I was called to do the work that I was supposed to do. And I had the willingness to connect with my students and my families and my staff in a deep way. I knew that this radical transformational work that we were going to do, this disruptive work, mean that I had to have a squad with me. I had to have people who were down with me. I had to have people who were going to see the vision with me. So some of you might have seen yesterday, I was like, is you ready? Are you ready? Whole squad ready? Guess what? I had to get my staff pumped up. I had to get my students pumped up. I had to get my family pumped up. I had to believe in what I was doing so that they could believe in what I was doing. And then we could be all on board moving and navigating this thing together. Relationships became the bridge between what was and what could be. Sometimes we're in situations and we see what was or what is, right? And sometimes it's not until we connect with people, the right people, that we can see what can be. And sometimes what is and what was is based on the people who are around us. And as we reevaluate those situations and we make the connections that we need to make, we could then see what can be. That's where the real power lies. It's the bridges in connection. It's the purposeful, driven relationships. So tonight's journal prompt, I hope you're always bringing, paper, pen, your tablet, something to jot down, take some notes, those ahas that come, those epiphanies, those nuggets, those pearls of wisdom that are just going to drop out. Where am I invited to go deeper, not harder this week? It's not always about hard. It's not always about grind. Sometimes we gotta go deeper. And so take a minute and I want you to think about, who do you need to go deeper in relationship with? Whatever comes up, no filter, right? As I said about my mom, straight, no chaser. Don't just think about your team in this moment. Think about the relationships you have with yourself as a leader. Are you nurturing that relationship? Or are you so focused on others that you've neglected your own soil? Are you going deeper in you? Because as we begin to go deeper, as we get to a place of introspection, as we continue to build our muscle of self-awareness, sometimes we begin to see the things in us that need to be checked, right? That we need to grow, that we need to develop. So, are you even going deeper with you? So if you got a copy of the book, The Disruptive Leader, thank you so much for supporting the book. And if you haven't gotten a copy yet, I definitely want you to reach out to me, email me at drg@consultdrg.com so you could get an autographed copy of the book. But one thing that I mentioned earlier in the week on Sunday, and I'll reiterate, there is the SDI 2.0 assessment that is based on relationship theory. And that whole concept known as core strengths, I'm a certified trainer for. And what we do with that assessment is we dive into relationship intelligence. So just like there is emotional intelligence, there's relational intelligence, right? There's a skill to having relationships with people. And everybody doesn't know how to have good, wholesome, productive relationships. But in that assessment, we learn and know how others move, how people show up, especially when relationships get tested. That's what conflict is, right? It's the testing of relationships. So I often say you can't lead well if you don't relate well. You can't lead well if you don't relate well. You can't lead well if you don't relate well. And so when relationships are strained, it's not just about personnel issues. It's a signal for you as a leader. When you are having strained relationships as a leader, that should be like the ding, ding, like that alarm that keeps going off. It should be like that ding, 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 ding. It should be that signal to let you know you need to go deeper, because maybe there's something about you that you haven't addressed or checked. And that's why when you interact with others, your relationships are strained. As you go deeper, you get more clarity, you get more curiosity, and yes, you even get more courage. So here's your disruptive download challenge for week number 2. Engage one relationship differently. You choose the relationship, but I want you to think about how you're engaging with one person differently this week. That means you might have to have that courageous conversation, or what we call that critical conversation. Sometimes people call it that come to Jesus conversation. You might have to have that conversation this week. It's Wednesday, it's midweek. So you might have to prep for that, but you might have to have that conversation. Guess what? It might be time for that overdue apology. What? Dr. Green, I gotta apologize? I might have been wrong. You might have been wronged. You might have to apologize. You might have to say, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that way. That's not what I meant. I didn't mean to offend you. If what beautiful that sometimes we don't do enough of. We have those superheroes who show up for us in silence. They're not necessarily the cheerleaders with the rah-rah and the pom-poms, but they're behind the scenes doing wonderful, great things for us. And guess what? They need to be celebrated too. You might have to show up for those who show up for you in silence. And when you do it, don't forget to drop your leadership word for the week. What's your word for the week? I told you last week my word was bold. My word is bold this week too. I'm going to continue to be bold. And my pastor, Dr. Karen Espethia, our word for 2025 is unbothered. Right? With everything that's going on in the crazy, I'm unbothered because I know who's called me. I know who I'm connected to. I know what I'm purposed to do. So all this other rah-rah that's going around, I'm unbothered. I know who holds my future, and I know who holds my hand. So drop your leadership word in the chat. I want to see what you're working with. What's your word for the week? Tag someone who challenges and supports your leadership. Let's normalize being in community where growth is expected and grace is extended. Let's be in community where growth is expected and grace is extended. I told you these segments were going to be 30 minutes or less, and we are pretty much almost at the end. So one, thank you for showing up for yourself. Thank you for being a leader who is growing in your leadership. This space, it's sacred. This work, it's disruptive. And together, we're not just managing through, we're leading through together in community. So on Sunday, I want you to meet me back here at 9 p.m. for Sanctuary for the Disruptive Soul, where we're going to keep rooting ourselves in vision, keep rooting ourselves in faith, and keep rooting ourselves in bold leadership. So, until next Sunday, lead well, go deeper, and don't forget, your relationships are not distractions. They are divine assignments. Your relationships are divine assignments. Stay grounded and stay disruptive. Take care, and I'll see you on Sunday.